Yay. Hello. Welcome back to our weekly astrological transits. Wow. Sometimes it's always a lot just getting everything up and running. I know we've had an interesting holiday. It's been kind of on my time to do that. I've enjoyed a few weeks off just from a lot of things. But we talk about a lot of stuff with this all the time with the movement of planets and understanding of cycles. And this year, we really have an interesting thing happening. This year is going to be probably like no other that we've all can recognize or have studied. It's like one of those ones that's going to be very different. And it's just interesting to start trying to figure out astrologically how that is. And, we have to always go back to the same SOS, the same old beep, the same old stuff. It's like right now, we have a preponderance of a certain type of energy. If we count up our energies, we're not going to count the moon because that changes, and the sun that changes so much, and Mercury that changes so much. But if we kind of go from there, we see right now like Venus just moved um, into the next sign. My theme for this next year is everything is going to change. Everything signs and things are changing. We're changing a lot of. We're going from a real feminine polarity to more of a masculine polarity, and into the next several years. So let's just start out to in. Actually, let me just recap this because then that'll bring us to coming into this first week, full week of the new year. So we know that we've had Pluto change signs. That was the leader of the pack. Pluto changed into Aquarius. It went from feminine Capricorn to masculine Aquarius. We have a the Pluto, the planet of transformation, death, rebirth, nuclear energy, oil, control, power, uh, is now changing signs into, instead of the establishment and the authoritarian and boundaries and control, it's moving into, it's still Saturn kind of under that guise of Saturnian energy, the signs. It's going from, Capricorn into Aquarius, but we're moving from, feminine into masculine and from cardinal into fixed energy. So the energy is masculine, it's fixed, it's air. And that's this is what's so weird about the sign, air being a fixed sign. That's just kind of a contradiction in terms, but that's what makes Aquarius so quirky, so unusual. It has that air element, it has that ability to have that elevated viewpoint, um, the good for all, the looking over of all things, but it's quirky. It still likes order. It's like, look at me, be different. It's got that intellectual capacity, that altruistic look, and it's stuck in there, and it grounds it. So that's really an interesting energy that is kind of like breaking the way. So without getting too deep into that, and that's the kind of the leader of a lot of this. Then we have, Neptune this year. I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm just going out to in, but this is all pretty quick. Pluto's already. Neptune, actually, I think I have it here. It is, where do I have? Neptune changes into Aries on March 30th. Yep. And then it moves back a little bit and then it moves again. So Neptune is in its own sign, right? It's in rulership in Pisces. Point out to it over here. Um, Neptune, right up there at the top of the chart. 27 is starting, direct. It's going to go close to the end there soon. So it's in Pisces. It's in a feminine water sign and it's mutable. Mutable, feminine, water. Okay, that's where it loves to be. We've been, into the sea of deception. We've been into illusion. We've been into fantasy. We've been into being fooled, schmoozed, conned, hoodwinked. That has just been the theme. But, it also brings in intuition, fantasy, illusion. um, creativity, art, but we get into that, Piscean depth of disillusionment. So it's going to then move into Aries. It's going to move into a cardinal, um, fire and masculine sign. So we're going from feminine to masculine right there. There's one. We just went, we went from feminine to masculine, the last one. Okay, moving in, then we have the next outer planet. Well, let me back up a little bit. Pluto, because of its elliptical orbit, it will be in a sign anywhere from like 30 years to like 12. We just went through when Pluto was going in through um this was at the bottom of the chart. Like it just, it was into Capricorn, I think maybe I want to say like 14 years or something. And then I think it was like in Sagittarius, like 12 years. And then in Scorpio, maybe like 14 years or something. So it was faster. Don't quote me on that exactly. But this was the elliptical part of its orbit. It's faster. So now it's going to be in Aquarius for like 19 years. It was in Leo longer, when it was back over here. So now it went quicker. Now it's starting to lengthen again. So that being said, it's going to be there like 20 years. And then Neptune is like in a sign about 20, 14, 15 years. So that's going to change. What's different, what's weird about this is, I mean, planets change, but not like all of them in one year. I mean, you have your inner ones change, of course, the sun, Mercury changes, along with the sun. And then, of course, Venus and then Mars are quick as well. But these outer ones, I'll try to go over the frequency so you can see how special this time is. Oh, it is like no other. All right. Then we have Uranus. If we come out of the outer planets, and it is in Taurus, which is a feminine sign, right? It's feminine, it's fixed, and it's Earth. And it's moving into Gemini, which will be masculine, air, and what's what I want? Mutable, masculine, air, and mutable. So we got another masculine sign here. And this, some of the signs like and then don't like. We've got some interesting things. Neptune likes where it's at, and it's not real happy in Aries. Um, Uranus is not real happy in Taurus. It's going to be, feeling a little bit better. When it moves into Gemini, not great, but at least it's more in tune with what it likes to do. It's more airy. It moves, right? It's got energy. It's got that electrical air energy, which it likes, which I think is going to be really good for inventions, new energy, new technologies, things breaking through. That's going to be huge, and that's going to be for the next 7 years, more or less. So Uranus is like about every 7 years. So we can see already now we've got like every 20, every 14, and every 7, and then we got them all changing now this year. Okay. Okay, so we have that'll be masculine, masculine, masculine. Now we got a little saving grace here. Kind of we start this year is those are changing. We have Jupiter, which changes signs every year. So right now it's in a masculine sign. Um, and this next year it's going to move into Cancer, which is a feminine sign. Okay, but it's again only going to be in a place for a year, but I think it's kind of like it's kind of easing us in a little bit. We can't have it all at once, which is good. But anyway, we get a year of the largest planet being in a place of exaltation. It's going from where it definitely does not like, it is in a place that uh, it's it's detriment. It's detriment. It's opposite of its rulership. So it doesn't feel comfortable there, but it's moving into its exaltation. It's moving into its home away from home. It's a place where it loves to be, and it loves to be in Cancer. So this will be interesting because Mars, has done its retrograde in Cancer, and then Jupiter will be, moving into Cancer. So hitting on some of those interesting degrees. Um, Anyway, so that's kind of interesting. But then in another year, that will move into Leo. So Jupiter then will be in another masculine sign, and we'll already have all those outer planets in the masculine signs for a while, right? We said like Pluto's going to be almost 20 years, Neptune another 14. Uranus will it's still got a little bit to go, here in Taurus, so it'll be there, for like another 7. So um we're just kind of just easing into it. And then Saturn, I had to jump ahead over there. So Saturn, because it was right there. Saturn will be finishing up in Pisces this year and will join Neptune as it moves into Aries. So Saturn will then be moving into Aries, which we already said is a masculine fire cardinal sign. So this is very interesting. So in a year, um, can I go a year? Let's see if we can go like just say 1 year. Oh yeah, look. Okay, cool. 1 year. Boop. All right. So almost. Okay, so look, we've got some interesting things because of the change of the planets. We're still, the back and forth of these, moving in and out. Uranus here will be at the end. It's retrograding here. So I think it had already moved into Gemini. It's moving back. Um, Neptune will have gone into Aries a little bit and then come back into Pisces, and then same with Saturn. We'll have gone into Aries and then back into a Pisces here. Next year at this time, Pluto will be 2 degrees, hasn't moved very much. Um, here's Jupiter will be over in Cancer, so we'll have a bit of this mix. So that this, thank goodness, we have this little bit of time, and let's go 1 more year just to be fun. Okay, so then we have did we go 2027? Did we do 2025, 26? Yep. Okay, so then we'll be firmly here. Here we go. Uh, Saturn and Neptune up here in Aries. We'll have here's masculine, masculine, and then here's Uranus in Gemini. We'll have Jupiter down here in Leo. You already know Pluto is over here. So look, this is very interesting. This is like we're setting the tone for a lot of this. I'll be talking about this a lot more as we move in, but just wanted to set the stage of what we're feeling, because we don't look at things, I give you the week by week because we can only focus on so much, but sometimes in the beginning of the year, it's nice to get the big picture of a lot of things and then see how things are accordingly. So this will set the tone for moving ahead in much more direct ways. We'll be moving into outward pushing, masculine energy instead of receptive feminine energy. So during I would say, just to finish this part up, to use that during the times of year when the sun and its entourage are in feminine signs are a time to really use that for positive purposes. And every month, when we get a real heavy masculine energy, tracking and being with the moon, and when the moon is in feminine, earth and water signs is a really good opportunity to continue to have that in breath, out breath, that feminine energy, because there's going to be a lot of outward masculinity. And I think appropriate masculinity. I think masculinity has gotten cucked, so I think it's going to be a redistribution of masculine energy in men and women. The masculine energy in women, so it's a balance of those polarities. So right now the pendulum is going to be swinging into that outward masculine projection, ejaculatory, energetic, fire, and air signs. Okay, that being said, we are now moving, starting into January 2025. We've got, of course, Sun in Capricorn, just past the halfway point. We have several things at the end of the degrees. Look at the 29 degrees. Today, of course, when I did this chart, we have the moon at the end of Aries, in 29 degrees. It's just fun when something like that does that. And then it's over there making a square over to Mars. it's just happened. I mean, it's probably by now it's gone. But anyway, it's we have the Mars at that critical degree, retrograding, right? So Mars just went from Leo, okay, and now it's when it's because it's retrograding back into Cancer. So this is the second retrograde hit, and then it'll come forward again. So now we have, instead of that outward boastful, Mars in one of its sister signs, into a place where Mars isn't the happiest. Um, it's in its fall. It's not where it likes to be, but it doesn't mean that it's weak. It's just different. It's not its favorite place. So it gets geared up and gets very protective and energy toward the weaker, the underdog, the home, the country, patriotism, um, understanding that, we all need to hang together, otherwise we'll hang separate kind of energy. I think Mars here is a is chivalrous. I think we see chivalry. I think we see protecting of the feminine energy with Mars going into Cancer again. And I think now the backward one is makes it even more so, my opinion. So anyway, this is evident here. And then we have Mercury just going at the end of the fire sign, kind of making a trine over to the moon of Sagittarius. So end of the little bit of the lies, the blabbermouth, the uh, bloviating, um, the deceit, the deception, because it's also over there making a square to Neptune. It just was at 27 degrees. We've got mutable sign and then mutable sign. So there, where we have a lot of crap, being spewed. So now Mercury is going to get, when it goes through um, Capricorn, as it starts to, make its approach to the sun and then go retrograde this year. Um, for the first time this year, it has like three a year. But anyway, it's going to be way more serious minded. It's going to, I think, ground a lot of the scattered crazy energy. It's going to give the attention to bringing things into practical matters. It's going to maybe slow things down, ground the mind, make practical thinking, make organize, be logical, don't be altruistic or pie in the sky. It's got to make sense. It's got to come down to the nuts and bolts, and which is good. It's making practical use, of anything that you've got going, and it will come join the sun. So that will get stronger, whenever we have Mercury and Capricorn getting close to the sun every year, we have that grounding of that energy, putting things practical. People make, New Year's resolutions and everything now when we have this energy. So, make use of this energy as Mercury closes in on the sun. Get your lists in order and time it, so that you can come into, each day as the Mercury gets closer to the sun. We use this energy to catapult forward this year. All right, Venus is exalted. Venus loves to be in Pisces. Other than being in its home sign and of the masculine and feminine sign, it loves to be basking in that just love, spaceless, timeless, just that universal Piscean energy. And it is sweet. It's a very sweet energy. And I think it will soften help um, Saturn as it finishes its stint through this sign, which is interesting. So I was just thinking about the medical side of it. Actually, I was kind of tripping off on there. With Saturn, anything or anywhere Saturn is, it reduces, it diminishes, it crystallizes, it slows down. So wherever you have it in your chart, like it will diminish or reduce blood flow, restrict, yada yada to that area. So here in the collective in Pisces, that's Pisces is defeat. It's the lymphatic system. It's, crystalline deposits in the feet. It could be gout. It could be uh, uh, mineral deposits, it's stiffness in the feet, fallen arches, all kinds of maladies like that going on with the feet and sluggish lymphatics, the lymph nodes not flowing. People aren't skin brushing and moving the lymph, and the lymph can get toxic. So those things to watch as Saturn finishes here. But I think Venus will sweeten it, hopefully not by adding sugar to that, but by helping people to get on good physical regimens using near infrared light, rebounding, moving the waters of the body. And then they'll both, Venus will go over that, and then Venus will also go over Neptune, and we'll watch these as they happen. But we can see it's going ahead. I'm just trying to give you the big picture because we're starting the new year. And we'll see where these cycles are going. So we're going to get, Venus going over some of that. And then it will go over the North Node. We do have this year, the nodes you can see they're getting closer and closer to, they move backwards, so to speak, through the zodiac. They're getting closer to changing signs, and they will go into the mutable signs. So we'll have a conjunction of the stuff over here to the North Node. We can see that. All right, what else is coming in this week? Okay, so let's see. We just had, well, we just talked about Mars retrograde yesterday into Cancer. Oh, we have Mercury square Neptune. We just talked about that because of that, and it was just exact, and now it's just kind of waning. But this is going to change. There's a lot of these lies and misperceptions and misrepresentations, and all this stuff is going to change. We're going to see that abruptly here soon. Mercury is in a funky at quincunx over to Mars. We can see 29 there. They're not getting along, that conversation. And it's just finishing up. So it's like the energy, you may not feel like doing something. It's like your mind might be into it and your energy isn't, or you just can't quite get it coordinated. It will change soon, so just hang on. Right now maybe you get a little moon emphasis on that because we have the moon in the mind. So here might be the inspiration, but it's just not taking hold. It's like, today I was going to do some more things, with just some more stuff with astrology, and I'm creating some courses. And there's that moon, I was feeling as the moon was going through Aries, and going over, the last little bit of that nice Sagittarian energy with Mercury and communications and that. And I just was feeling like all these little, Mars going into Cancer. I was like, a couple of other little homey kinds of things, had to deal with. We have almost a freeze coming tonight, so I have plants I had to cover, and then father issues, to deal with stuff with, aging dad, just stuff. But so there you go, Cancerian type stuff, home, family, plants, So, the Mars, squaring that, I mean, the moon squaring that. So it just, you can see how these things change. So I just, put on back burner, had to start this later, deal with it, not a problem. But that's how some of that stuff rolls. Okay, a lot of stuff there. Tomorrow, let's move on. Um, Tomorrow we've got the moon moving into, a nice, well, we're finishing up, with Aries. So yesterday, I mean, or Monday or Tuesday, it moved into Taurus. We have it, and late Tuesday into Wednesday, it moves into Taurus. So we go from that kind of frantic, Aryan, aggressive, quick speech, get it out there, get it done energy to a little bit more of a complacency, a little bit more of a slow down. I'm going to have that comfort thing. I got to get stuff in order. I want to be comfortable. I want security. I want this grounded kind of an energy. But then as it goes in another day, we'll see it's going to go over Uranus. So we may have some kind of emotional change, this every month as the moon has been going through, and it making its conjunction with Uranus, can make some issues with security, with uh, things that you want, you draw to your pleasures, those kinds of things that kind of maybe get shaken up or stirred up every month. So here it is coming around again. And what else did I want to say? Anything else here? Mercury changes signs. Yeah, we move, like I said, we move into a more grounded thinking, a more pragmatic, logical, putting things in order thinking tomorrow. Thursday, lots of moon aspects mainly. No real planetary aspects that we haven't talked about, but a lot of moon aspects. What else we got here? Mm, moon nodes, moon nodes over to Mercury, but moon nodes over to Pluto, but been working on those. Okay, it's kind of a quiet day. Friday, more moon aspects, the kind of Thursday and Friday, we don't have we've had these sign changes, a couple things, and then we kind of have some quiet aspects. The moon does go over Jupiter, so we could have a lot of busy times, the moon finished up in Taurus and then it goes into Gemini, moved into Gemini on Thursday, and then it goes over Jupiter. So here could be like, it's this is again, it's monthly rhythm. We get the surprise moon over Uranus and then busy or expanding or chaotic or uh maybe when it goes over Uranus, you get an intuitive grounding, a feeling, and then it comes to fruition, 2.5 days later, it starts up when the moon goes, over Gemini. So just check that out. Um, each month when that happens, it's kind of like a little blip, blip, blip as we go around, round, round. All right. Busy, busy moon when it's in Gemini. It might make for kind of restless, sleepless nights. Remember your chamomile tea. All right. So moving into Saturday, moon moves into Cancer, where it loves to be late in the day. It's like going to late Gemini here. And then the nodes change. We're just late in the day, probably, let's see, what time do I have it for? So it's kind of probably for us on the East Coast, it's more the next day. Yeah, moon over here, moon changes into, late, right after what, close to midnight or so, moves into moody in its wonderful moody sign of Cancer. Whenever, when it does, it's going to quincunx over to Pluto. So there could be some kind of odd feelings if you're up around that time, something that doesn't quite fit or something that you got to do. Maybe a good time to try to understand some shadow work because they're just not getting along there. So to maybe do some deep understanding of yourself there when the moon is in Cancer every month. All right, what else is going on here? Let's see, they change. It's kind of more on late Sunday to Monday. What else? The moon opposes when it's late in or here into Cancer, you can see it would oppose Mercury. So there could be some little think feel problems, maybe some, real tender feelings. You could be maybe hurt, Mercury, or maybe the realization of something, might hit kind of emotionally, because Mercury now, or you practical, something practically comes out and it like overrides the emotional. So there may be some kind of a dichotomy of the mind in the practical solution or a discrepancy with the moon, with the mode, with the emotions. So just watch for that on Sunday. I would just go all day Sunday. Yeah. All right. Think, feel, opposition sort of thing there. And then the Mercury trine Mars. Okay, so this can be really interesting too, kind of playing into that because we got the water signs activated. This could be a little bit, dicey with having the energy maybe to face something here. Maybe this is going to side with the moon, because the moon is there in Cancer, and then we have Mars with Cancer, and then Neptune over there in Pisces. So we could have some watery mysticism, home life energy for home patriotism, garden nurturing, so just kind of combine a lot of that energy, those three energies together on Sunday. Okay, what else on Sunday? And then let's see, Moon will trine Yeah, look, it's gonna right here, and it's trining Venus. So the moon is going to make trines to the whole tribe. Venus, it'll get the trine there, and then it'll get Saturn a trine there, and then it'll trine over to Neptune. So that day, every 2.5 days, it'll kind of be moving through all of those. Um, so we got it on Sunday, so Sunday into Monday. So we'll be watch the feelings of that. Here on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time, it will be going over to Venus. So that's really lovely. That could be really um, in conjunction with your feelings about something. This could be really nice for any kind of romantic communications, endearment, somebody special, something special, um, pulling in, something really artistic, art, poetry, music, something that's really of the heart. And then it gets some structure when it trines over to Saturn, it could get some structure, longevity, or kind of a wake-up call, um, a little bit. And then it kind of gets back into the illusion or disillusion. Watch that, just depending on who and how it's making aspects to your chart and your life, of Neptune. And then when the moon moves, um, into, well, how do I say it? And well, and then it's going to go, well, it could hit up against the nodes, at the same time as well, because the beginning, it would have maybe got that square over to the nodes, and then it softens with all of the stuff. So there's kind of like a little push-pull in there. Very interesting time. So watch the moods, watch the emotional stuff kind of over the weekend. And Monday. Did I get everything I wanted to? Yeah, got into that. Oh, and then yeah, I already said that, the moon trine, all that stuff. Right, right. Monday, the sun now is going to trine over to, well, and the moon, but the moon's going to make aspect too. Moon is going to sextile over to Uranus, and then the sun um, is going to trine. So we got this interesting, Earth water element, triangle here. So Monday, there could be some really interesting, surprising, the sun practical, it's in Capricorn, it's climbing up the mountain, it's determined, it's resilient, and maybe there's some kind of security, some kind of something gets grounded, something all of a sudden comes through financially, or in your or for you or for your benefit. And then the moon, maybe kind of clicks in the emotional part of it as then it joins over to Mars. Look at that moon. It's going to just energize that whole thing as the moon just passes over Mars. It's going to maybe energize something for whoever, and especially if you have things at those degrees, 23 degrees, and depending on where it's at. So that could be a very interesting dynamic over here late, excuse me, late Monday afternoon. It was a trigger. I mean, it's probably coming into orb, whatever it is, and then the moon is a trigger. It's just kind of neat to see that. What else? The moon opposes. We have got sun and moon opposition. We'll have our new moon. I mean, our full moon at 23 degrees here on Monday. Full moon in Cancer. So we could have, this is right in this emotional time, full moon, um, sextiling over to Uranus. Wow. And we have it's like conjuncting Mars. Interesting. And then, oh, going to go over, trining over to Neptune. So this is very magical, I think. And what else? So we have a conjunct Mars. Yeah, we already talked about that. Okay. All right. So I think we talked about enough. There's a lot going on. You can again review the very beginning of this, which I go through some of the major things that are coming in for the year ahead, and we'll go from there. I'll repeat things. There's redundancy in this there's so much in astrology to cover, but I try to make it practical and bring it home. But I have to go back and expand out and get the big picture every now and then. All right, thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. More to follow. See you next time. Bye for now.